Last week, we did a video on the essential mods you need to do on your Harley-Davidson, which pretty much involved fixing every shortcoming that plagues motorcycles from the bar and shield in their stock form. But what are some mods you shouldn't do? Boy, oh boy, where do I start? Sorry, Harley guys, here are the 7 worst Harley-Davidson mods. A lot of people who ride motorcycles from Harley-Davidson do the weirdest and most bizarre modifications to their bikes. They're often all aesthetic mods that don't improve anything about the way the bike performs. They're like a weird 6th level meta distillation of trends that were probably cool on motorcycles like 70 years ago. One of the biggest offenders in the Harley community is the dormant of skull everything. Literally skulls on everything. It's like even the worst truck drivers have one, maybe 2 Punisher stickers on their truck, but somehow a Harley-Davidson in the hands of a testosterone-depleted father of 3 will have more skulls than a French catacomb. Skull on the air cleaner cover, skull gas cap, skull valve stem, skull vinyl wrap. When will it end? Even Harley-Davidson has a skull clothing line. Are they trolling, or does the Bar and Shield employ 65-year-olds in their design department? The second search result when you Google skull and motorcycle says a skull is a visual recognition of fate. Riding a motorcycle is a constant risk, regardless of how masterful you are with it. Dude. These skulls on my hog represent the fact that I pull my life on the line on my motorcycle, brothers. Every time I ride home drunk from the bar, there ain't nothing I can do to death decides it's my time to go. Well, you could wear a helmet for a start. You'd think a subculture of motorcyclists so obsessed with recognizing the risk of motorcycling would be more likely to wear a helmet. Hot take, but I also feel like Harley guys kind of suck at riding motorcycles in general. Sorry. In terms of even the most basic fundamentals, I don't care what it means to you. Skulls are corny, and the fake deep connotations they have make it even worse. You're a dentist, John. You're not part of any criminal organization. Go ahead, leave me a comment down below. It feeds the algorithm anyways. A second Harley mod that should really be avoided is leathered handlebar tassels. I wasn't sure where exactly the handlebar tassel originated from either, and after searching around online for an answer, all I saw was old men preaching about how it's a free country and people can do whatever they want to their motorcycles. Yeah, like that's the information I was looking for. Thanks, user Hog for Hire, that really changed my perception on the subject. After turning on my VPN, I found some even cringier Harley forums that said the handlebar tassel is a different version of the get back whip, which is apparently a weapon that bikers in the 70s and 80s would keep on their handlebars to hit people with. This Harley lore sounds super made up, like some weird fanfic or something. After the beer run, Fogg used his whip on the butt of his fellow Harley member, Iron Snake, for being a real bad biker boy, not getting enough beef jerky for the entire club, leaving everyone too weak and undernourished to continue their game of Naked Twister in the clubhouse. And last reason I found the handlebar tassels in the Harley community is to increase visibility so cars can see you. You want to be safe on your bike? Cool, I get it. You should also try wearing a helmet. Another weird mod Harley riders do is having an exposed belt primary drive in lieu of the normal closed chain primary drive. This is sort of the Harley equivalent to the Hayabusa stretched swing arm. The exposed belt primary first came into popularity on drag race builds where they lead to marginal power gains. I am no scientist, but from what I've read, a belt primary drive is lighter, which allows it to spin faster with less resistance, and the belt supposedly can handle a higher power output from the engine than a OEM primary chain. That seems antithetical to me, as a chain final drive is usually capable of handling more power than a belt final drive, but maybe it's the opposite for the primary. I don't know. I'm sure someone in the comments will tell me how wrong I am. But anyway, with an open belt primary is used on a street bike, much like a stretched swing arm, there is little to no advantage, and there are often many inconveniences that come with it. But people do these mods anyway for the illusion of speed or performance, or because they're just plain illiterate. The glaring problem for an exposed belt primary is that your pants or boot laces are able to get caught up in it. So the primary on a Harley-Davidson is right smack dab beside your foot peg and shifter. So you got to worry about your exhaust melting your boots on the right side of the bike, and also worry about getting sucked into the primary on the left. And if you manage to avoid the primary with your leg, you also run the risk of other debris damaging it. A belt primary drive has smaller tolerances for tension compared to chain as well, meaning the maintenance saved by not having to change the primary oil is overshadowed by having to regularly adjust the tension. The exposed primary is not a good look. It's kind of unsafe, and the benefits on the street are non-existent. Not a good mod. We have to take a minute from bad mods to talk about good mods and mods for your body. I mean, like gear, not dermal implants or tongue splitting. For better or worse, we don't live in a cyberpunk world where our hands can be reinforced with steel or carbon fiber, so instead we have to protect ourselves the old-fashioned way with high-quality gloves. We've got some new gloves on shop.yamady.co, and I wanted to take a second to tell you about the NYC Street Glove from EVS. These gloves feature the highest level of protection available. The full leather glove has reinforced palms with padded inserts, extra finger protection, and carbon fiber knuckles. Unlike normal gauntlet gloves, these have short cuffs for less weight and added flexibility, and despite having top-tier protection, these gloves still have touchscreen-capable thumb and index fingers if you need to use your phone or touchscreen. You'll find these gloves over at shop.yamanoob.co. Go and check them out. Now back to the video. The next modification on the list today will be a bit more of an umbrella category than one specific thing, and since that is installing any sort of novelty part. What do I mean by that? Here are some examples, and these are actually all real too. These are not hyperbole or joke. Exhibit A, Gatling gun exhaust pipes. This is literally a thing. Apparently car people do it too, but these exhaust tips go on any old slip-on, but unlike any old slip-on, the Gatling gun exhaust has multiple barrels like a Gatling gun and spins as exhaust gases are moved through. Isn't that the dumbest thing you've ever seen? Today I am realizing just how varied and expansive the parallels between Hayabusa modifiers and Harley-Davidson modifiers are. There's a lot of overlap. The Venn diagram is deep. Another great example of a novelty modification gone wrong is the horse saddle motorcycle seat. Okay, whoever designed this monstrosity was listening to a little too much Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi. There are regular motorcycle seats that are the color of a horse saddle, tan leather with brass rivets. That's fine, whatever, but there are some that are straight up the shape of a horse saddle, including the handle thing that horse saddles have. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Hard pass, do not recommend, no novelty helmets and no novelty mods. Another Harley mod that has Busa energy is a huge front wheel. These bikes are always super weird custom baggers with like green flames and chromes and a 30-inch front wheel, and I don't see the appeal at all. It looks pretty silly and it probably is horrible to ride. Like, let's take this 15-year-old bagger that already kind of rides bad and make it even worse and then paint it so it looks like it was owned by a juggalo who has more nitrous than oxygen in his bloodstream. I just really don't get it. It probably sucks to turn. All the suspension travel is gone from the forks. There's absolutely no depth to the tire, meaning you'll feel every single bump and imperfection on the road. I have literally only ever seen these bikes parked or crawling at 25 miles per hour in a downtown area or parked. Maybe these guys are so determined to flex the diameter of their wheel they will trailer these bikes to and from town just to get some confused ogling by bystanders. And for people who are into this scene, what is the experience like? Like, how do you compliment your fellow big wheel boy? Like, hey man, nice bike, that wheel is big. And then they respond, thanks dude, your wheel is big too. Maybe we can touch our big wheels sometimes together. I just don't get it. These bikes are pretty silly, and I can imagine these builds are not cheap either. There are a million different chopper-style mods I could criticize, but that seems like an entire can of worms to get into, so instead I'm going to focus on a couple that are just really inadvisable. The first of which is installing a jockey shifter, where you change gears with your hand with the shift knob instead of beside the engine, instead of clicking up to the gears with your foot. Call me crazy, but I don't understand the point of making your motorcycle more difficult to ride. Like, why make a somewhat modern motorcycle operate like it's 1920? In life, easier isn't always better, but when it comes to shifting a motorcycle, easier is better. Shifting has even gotten easier with the quick shifter system that comes on a lot of new motorcycles, so a rider using a jockey shifter is at least like 2 levels behind in terms of shifting technology. And when using this type of shifter, you have to operate the clutch with your foot, so you're driving a manual car, except for you have 2 hands that you routinely need to keep on the handlebars. You'd think evolution would have phased the jockey shifter out by now, but a lot of these Harley builders are playing God and refusing to let it go extinct. And the last worst Harley mod on the list today is another jab at the chopper world, the cursed front brake delete. It is super common for chopper-style motorcycles to not have a front brake, which to most motorcyclists sounds ludicrous because we all know the front brakes provide a vast majority of the stopping power on a traditional motorcycle. But no, not in the chopper world. Because choppers typically have super raked out front forks, another mod which I do not enjoy. Using the front brake introduces unwanted flexing into the forks when weight is shifted forward during braking. And because of the highly modified geometry, most of the weight of a chopper is on the rear tire, making the back brake more effective. But still, to me, it seems like if the front brakes are not effective because the rake of your forks, maybe the geometry of the forks are the problem, and removing the front brake is just creating a secondary problem? I don't know. Maybe online user Hogs for Hire is right. I just don't really respect other riders' rights to modify their bikes as they please, despite the increase to their safety and the safety of those around them. At this rate, I'll never earn my skull valve stem caps and be welcomed into this brotherhood. How many boomers are screaming in the nursing home right now? If you think skulls are played out, be sure to subscribe and stay up to date on the newest anti-skull content. The Sportster giveaway has ended, so we have carte blanche to roast Harley riders as much as we want. Fact: Donkey Kong got his name because the creator believed donkey meant stupid in English and wanted to convey the impression that the character was a stupid ape. Goodbye.
Keep watching.